I wasn't really allowed to play games like that growing up unless I went over a friend's house or something, and so one thing that I've always appreciated about the Sonic franchise is the fact that even beyond the games, Sonic had a constantly updating rotation of animated shows that you could use to get into Sonic even if you didn't play the games for whatever reason. There's a reason that niggas don't really fuck with Mario as heavy as they fuck with Sonic, bro, and it's because Mario has nothing to his name but his games. Granted, his games are a lot better than the Sonic games on average, but did Mario bring us Rouge the Bat? Okay then. Growing up, I watched it all, bruh. Sonic X, Sonic Underground, The Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, that one show where he was dating the squirrel chick, Sonic Boom, unfortunately. And so having grown up as the absolute black hole of Sonic content that I was, you can imagine my surprise when I recently came to find out that there's a Sonic the Hedgehog anime movie that I haven't seen, and chances are, you haven't seen either. In 1996, Studio Perio released a 2-episode Sonic OVA called Sonic *𝙏𝙖𝙡𝙠 Hedgehog, and although this OVA is actually pretty heat, unfortunately, the English dub of the OVA is like this.
Thanks for saving us there, Knuckles. Yeah, that's one more job I won't get paid for.
So are you going back to treasure hunting now?
Of course. Finding treasure is my absolute favorite pastime.
Because the English dub of this OVA is so genuinely buns, the project never really took off outside of Japan the way it probably should have. And to this day, unless you're way too deep into the Sonic fandom, or you're like me and you just spend a bunch of your free time scouring for obscure animated content, then you probably don't even know of this OVA's existence in the first place. And so today, ladies and gentlemen, I want to explore this 1996 OVA that Japan has been hiding from the rest of the world. Sonic *𝙏𝙧 Hedgehog, or just Sonic OVA if you're not trying to, say all that extra shit. It's a sunny, temperate day along the coast of Planet Freedom. The skies are clear, the sand is warm, the waves are gently lapping against the shore, and enjoying this tropical paradise in the seclusion of his own private beach is none other than the Blue Blur himself. Ogilvy is none other than the Blue Blur himself, Ogilvy Maurice Hedgehog, better known to most people as Sonic the Hedgehog. The nigga Sonic is out there living his life, bro. He's got his drink, he's got his radio, he's got his sunglasses on, he's just over there lounging away when suddenly the homie Tails emerges from the secret base that's behind him. Apparently the two of them live in this abandoned airplane hangar on the beach that also has a broken down rocket ship and a broken down satellite. Tails emerges from this hidden base behind Sonic and he's like, "Hey Sonic, look at this new rocket powered surfboard that I just invented. You trying to give it a spin?" And Sonic is like, nah, you got that, bruh. I'm just over here cooling it for real. Tails is like, alright, you're lost, and he goes out to the ocean to test run his new surfboard, inadvertently splashing Sonic in the process. So Tails is out there having fun, doing X Games tricks on his surfboard and whatnot, just all around being a kid, when suddenly we hear a loud crash coming from the direction that Tails was surfing in. Oh, hey. Funny seeing you there. It's kind of crazy that we're talking about beaches since the sponsor of today's video is tangentially related to beaches, oceans, that sort of stuff. I spoke earlier about all the Sonic shows that I watched growing up, Sonic X, Sonic Underground, so on and so forth, and the shows were great. Changed my life, but part of my Sonic journey that can't be understated, and perhaps one of the main reasons for me being the Sonic fan that I am today, are the Sonic comic books, bruh. I remember I used to get these little Archie comic books and just fly through them, bruh. I would buy a whole stack because they were thin, you know what I mean? They weren't like the manga volumes, they were thin, and I would just fly through a whole stack of them in a day. I mean, I love comics, obviously, as you can probably tell. I mean, if you look at the content on this channel. And so it's with that love of comics that I'm excited to bring you the sponsor of today's video, Sea of Conquest. Now, at its core, Sea of Conquest is a video game. It's a pirate game where you as a player get to immerse yourself in this giant, captivating world of pirates, which is already cool on its own, right? But like Sonic, the lore and the universe of this game expands so much further than just what's in the game itself. You see, Sea of Conquest is actually dropping a tie-in comic, Cradle of the Gods, issue number 1, and with this comic, you get to follow our heroes on their swashbuckling journey as they go through the same type of journey that you as the player would go through in the game itself. So like in the game, you get to craft your own pirate ship, assemble a pirate crew, battle other pirate crews, just generally unravel the mysteries of the deep sea. And then in Cradle of the Gods, you get to read about another pirate crew doing the same stuff that you're doing. And so like the immersion just compounds itself, right? Because not only are you getting the experience from the game, you're also getting the experience from the comic book. And that's without even getting into how amazing the comic book art in and of itself is. I mean, if you've been here for a while, you know how I get when the comic book art is fire, bro. By checking out the link in the description, you can experience the Sea of Conquest universe for yourself, whether that be through the comics, the games, both. I'd recommend both, but you know, I know some of y'all can't really read like that, so I don't know, y'all could just look at the pictures or something. Figure something out. Thank you again to Sea of Conquest for sponsoring this video. And now back to the video. Now back to Tails and Sonic and Rouge the Bat. There's no Rouge the Bat. I wish there was Rouge the Bat. I don't think her character was a thing yet when this OVA was being produced. Tails is like, alright, you're lost, and he goes out to the ocean to test run his new surfboard, inadvertently splashing Sonic in the process. So Tails is out there having fun, doing X Games tricks on his surfboard and whatnot, just all around being a kid, when suddenly we hear a loud crash coming from the direction that Tails was surfing in. Sonic hears Tails in danger, right? And I know he heard him too, because his damn ear was twitching. But come to find out, Tails has somehow crossed paths with a runaway airplane that was flying too close to sea level. And just as he's about to get hit by this airplane, he narrowly avoids it by flying into the air with his helicopter tails. Now, unfortunately for Sonic, this runaway plane jets past him before continuing to fly around out of control. And the force of the plane darting by proceeds to knock over his whole little setup. Like, it buries his radio and shit under this big ass sand dune. I know that nigga was mad as hell. Sonic looks up to see who could possibly be piloting this contraption. And in the pilot seat of the plane, he sees this goofy looking owl dude. Apparently this goofy looking owl dude knows Sonic and vice versa. Mr. Owl over here is like, hey Sonic, you trying to help your boy out real quick? And Sonic's like, nah, actually you broke my radio, and so yeah, now you gotta die. Tails on the other hand is like, yo Sonic, that's not cool, you gotta save him. And the boy Sonic is like, damn, if you care about him so bad, why don't you go save him? And Tails complies, going to save the owl since, you know, he's the more aerial creature between the two of them anyway. So Tails goes to try to save the old head, right? He's over here valiantly chasing down a malfunctioning aircraft. All the while, Sonic done set his beach day accessories back up and got right back to chilling as Tails is risking it all. Like, yo Maurice, I'm not gonna lie, lock in, bro. I'm finna start calling that nigga by his government when he pisses me off, bro. Like I'm his pops or something. I'm finna start dropping his middle name on him. But Tails ends up stabilizing the plane's turbulence by balancing on one of its wings. However, unfortunately for our two furries on the plane, this does nothing to fix the plane's core problem, which is the malfunctioning steering. And so the plane continues to barrel forward. Both Tails and Mr. Owl are headed straight for this giant cliff, which will most likely kill them on impact. It's only after he hears Tails scream for dear life that Sonic proceeds to finally jump into action, speeding across the length of the beach and running laterally across the cliff before saving Tails and Mr. Owl, right before Mr. Owl's plane crashes into the cliff. Now, look, I'm not going to say Sonic was a villain or nothing back in the day, but he for sure wasn't a good dude. Mr. Owl is kind of shook from his near-death experience that he just had. He's a bit shell-shocked, and so Sonic decides that it would be a good idea to grab a nearby crab and get it to pinch Mr. Owl in order to snap him out of whatever sort of traumatic episode he's having right now. Once he's gotten his bearings back together, Mr. Owl gets down to business, explaining to Sonic that he's actually come with an urgent message from the president of Planet Freedom. The president wants Sonic and Tails to come to his palace immediately. There's apparently an emergency going on, and so without much further discussion, Sonic and Tails take off on Tails' non-malfunctioning plane, leaving Mr. Owl goofy ass to stay behind on the island and I guess look after the crib. When Sonic and Tails finally reach the president's palace, the bullshit starts popping off immediately, bro. They walk into the president's office to be greeted not by the president, but by Dr. Eggman, who immediately sends two robots to try to light our heroes the fuck up. Sonic and Tails instant transmission out of the line of fire before proceeding to destroy the two robots that were shooting at them. And as Sonic gets ready to strike back at Dr. Eggman with a Sonic spin dash, he hears the president's voice call from behind him, pleading that he cease his assault upon the doctor. Turns out, Eggman had a contingency plan to keep Sonic at bay in case shooting him in the back of the head didn't pan out. Upon breaking into the president's palace, Eggman actually took both the president and the president's daughter named Sarah hostage in order to force Sonic into submission. I guess he knew there was no way he was finna bang with Sonic in a 1v1 fair fight. And so now that they can't beat Eggman's ass, for the president's sake, Sonic and Tails have no choice but to hear Eggman out. After all, he summoned the two of them to the presidential palace for a reason. Eggman goes on to explain in a very long-winded yap sesh that there are two separate dimensions that make up Planet Freedom. The Land of the Sky, the place where Sonic and them live, and the Land of Darkness, the place where Eggman hails from. Long story short, Eggman has his own city in the Land of Darkness, a city oh so creatively named Eggman Land, and recently, or allegedly I should say, because you know Eggman's a capper, but allegedly a man named Black Eggman, yes, Black Eggman, allegedly a man named Black Eggman has recently taken over the city with a band of robot thugs. Very classy description of the villains there, Eggman. But Eggman proceeds to explain that Black Eggman has taken over the generator in his city and blah blah blah. Basically, the entire city will explode if something isn't done about the generator by sunset. Now, after putting literally everyone in the room to sleep with his yapping, Eggman tries to convince Sonic to help him out. Obviously, to no avail. After Eggman, the president of the world himself tries to convince Sonic to help Eggman out. Again, to no avail. Now it's Sarah's turn. The girl runs up to Sonic, making the exact same request that her father and Eggman had just asked of him. But now that it's Sarah who's asking it, all of a sudden the boy Maurice wants to become Mr. Save the Day, and he's like, alright, I'll stop this generator bomb thing or whatever. You see how niggas love to flip the switch whenever it's a girl that asks them to do something? You think I don't peep that, bro? Eggman gives Tails this special watch that serves as both a tracking device and a locator for the quickest way to the generator in question. And with this new tech upgrade that they just got, Sonic and Tails take off, hopping back on Tails' plane and working their way towards Eggman Land. An unspecified amount of time passes before Sonic and Tails eventually arrive at this giant whirlpool-looking cloud formation that serves as the gateway between the Land of the Sky and the Land of Darkness. Tails flies headfirst through the whirlpool because the two of them got to get to the Land of Darkness for their mission. But in doing so, he ultimately ends up destroying his plane because, well, I mean, planes weren't really built to nosedive in the alternate dimensions. No need to worry about the plane right now, though. That shit'll get patched up later with the power of cartoon plot magic. For now, Sonic and Tails have to hurry up and get over to Eggman Land so that they can pay Eggman's electricity bills, or whatever they were supposed to do. Now, this next scene is actually pretty cool to watch, just as like a Sonic fan who's like vaguely familiar with the games. Again, not really allowed to play much games as a kid. I think I got like halfway through Sonic Rush, and yeah, that's about it. I mean, I did also play those like Sonic Mario Olympic jumps at my homie's house, but that was honestly just my excuse to hear Rouge the Bat voice clips during the 110-meter hurdle.
Nice one. Go for it. Take that. Wow. This is how it's always gonna be. No. What? Leave this to me. Hello there.
Anywho, the next scene is basically like Sonic and Tails running / flying through the sorts of scenarios you'd expect to see in the game. Spike traps, little robots, the basic shit. After taking a warp trail to the more urban part of Eggman Land, guess who our two furries run into? I'll give you a hint. I said it's the urban part of Eggman Land. Turns out, Black Eggman is not Eggman of African descent. That was a pretty disappointing revelation, I'm not gonna lie. He's actually just this super giant robot, which isn't even black. And I mean, yeah, in hindsight, I guess it does make a lot more sense. Do black people even exist in the Sonic universe? You're right, my fault. After giving our heroes a typical villain introduction, Black Eggman pulls out this machine gun that's installed in his hand, and he starts trying to shoot at Sonic and Tails, but like they did back at the palace when White Eggman tried the same shit, Sonic and Tails proceed to dodge the bullets, flash stepping all over the place to avoid the line of fire. Sonic tries to do what he normally does to hostile robots and attempts to kick the shit out of Black Eggman, but Black Eggman is made out of quote-unquote super polymer alloy, and so he's basically immune to all blunt attacks that Sonic could hope to throw at him. Now, for most villains, this would be a win condition, right? You can't lose to an enemy who can't damage you. for the most part. But Tails proceeds to hop on Black Eggman's face before speeding out the way, causing Black Eggman to punch his own self in the dome in an attempt to squash Tails. Now you gotta realize, right? Tails literally just hit this nigga with a Tom and Jerry level tactic, bro, with a Looney Tunes level okie doke. And so him and Sonic start laughing their asses off right in Black Eggman's face. Feeling disrespected, Black Eggman once again tries to let that switch rip on our furries, but in case you haven't caught the memo yet, these two are not getting taken out by mere bullets anytime soon. Eventually, Sonic and Tails decide to hide behind this abandoned bus as Black Eggman traverses the city to search on them. You see, right now our two parties are in like a stalemate, right? Black Eggman doesn't have the firepower to hurt Sonic and Tails, but likewise, Sonic and Tails don't have the attack potency to damage Black Eggman. After a brief breather, Sonic is like, look, he's talking to Tails. He's like, look, we don't really have time to be messing around with Black Eggman right now. We gotta get to this generator before it explodes. And Tails is like, nah, facts, you're right. And so he pulls out the watch that Eggman gave him in order to track down the generator. Now this dumbass nigga Maurice, instead of just, going to the generator and leaving Black Eggman to do his thing, I don't know, stroll through the city or whatever, this dumbass nigga Maurice decides to tease Black Eggman, telling him to his face that they're about to run away to the generator. And so Black Eggman, the machine who took over the generator in the first place, is like, yeah, no. And he proceeds to sprout these demon wings from his back while activating these super boosters that he can use to chase down Sonic and Tails. As Sonic and Tails are trying to escape Black Eggman's pursuit, we get this first-person POV shot from Sonic's perspective, which is admittedly a bit wonky, but I respect the animator's vision, bro. I see what they were going for. But as Sonic and Tails are trying to escape Black Eggman's pursuit, Black Eggman activates these missiles that he uses to blow up the pavement ahead of them before proceeding to shoot them off this bridge and into the water, since, Sonic characters are notoriously ass at swimming. We hear Sonic and Tails drowning in the body of water beneath the bridge before quickly realizing that they are in fact not drowning in the body of water beneath the bridge. They're just pretending to drown in the body of water beneath the bridge by making gargling noises. They're really just playing in Black Eggman's face. It's as simple as that, if I'm being honest. It's kind of sad that this bullshit ass plan actually worked, I'm not gonna lie, but eventually, as they're trying to sneak off, Black Eggman realizes that he's being played, and so he turns around, hanging his robot cheeks off the bridge's guardrails before proceeding to start shooting a sticky white liquid out of his posterior. It's not even worth pausing on that one. That's just one of those scenarios where you just gotta accept the L wholeheartedly. The glue ends up pinning Tails against this gate, and as Sonic stops to try to help him, Black Eggman lets off 3 more missiles that make these massive explosions in the city. The explosion that these missiles make are so massive, in fact, that on the outskirts of the city, the homeboy Knuckles pops out from his underground nap to see what's going on. He has a cowboy hat on for some reason. Now Sonic actually managed to mount one of the missiles that was shot at him. Pause. That one's worth a pause. But after mounting the missile, Sonic redirects it to crash into Black Eggman, which sends Black Eggman flying backwards while simultaneously destroying his super polymer alloy shell. Unfortunately for Sonic though, as he was dismounting the missile, he ended up inadvertently landing in some of Eggman's sticky goop, and so now the blue blur, whose whole shtick mainly revolves around running super fast, finds himself unable to do the whole running super fast thing. Black Eggman begins to approach our 2 sequestered soldiers. He's not in the best shape himself, but he can at least move, which in itself gives him an advantage over Sonic and Tails right now. Black Eggman once again aims his gun at Sonic, ready to finally take him off the map when suddenly a red blur slams into his arm, knocking him over instantly. The boy Knuckles has hit the scene on clutch mode. That's Black Man, bro. That's who I was talking about just now. But the boy Knuckles has hit the scene on clutch mode, coming through with some much needed reinforcement for our heroes, and after effortlessly freeing Tails from the glue, he proceeds to get back to boxing Black Eggman, holding him off while Tails works on freeing Sonic. Now at first Knuckles is holding his own, right? He evades Black Eggman long enough for him to run out of ammo, but eventually Knuckles ends up getting scooped up by Black Eggman, who plans to honestly, I don't know what Black Eggman plans to do right here. I don't even really know what type of shit Black Eggman was on for this whole thing. But seeing that Knuckles has been captured, Sonic gets the MC power-up second wind that he needed to escape the glue, and he proceeds to spin dash himself free before drilling through Black Eggman's hand. Black Eggman, knowing that he doesn't want that Sonic Knuckles tag team smoke, tries flying away to safety. But with the help of Knuckles' super strength, Sonic gets projectile beamed right through the chassis of Black Eggman, causing him to explode not long after the impact. Also, Knuckles can just straight up fly in this anime, so yeah, that's a thing. I mean, it's pretty cool or whatever. Shout out Knuckles, but I really don't know what flight abilities have to do with being a enchilada or a echidna, a chinda, you know, whatever bro species is called. We get a look at the wreckage that used to be Black Eggman, and from the destroyed chassis of the robot emerges White Eggman and Sarah? Okay, yeah, so apparently this quote-unquote Black Eggman never existed in the first place. Go figure. And this entire ruse was all just Eggman's lame excuse to get Sonic to go to Eggman Land for reasons. Also, he bought Sarah with him because why not? Sonic, Knuckles, and Tails all chop it up for a little bit, kind of just catching up since I guess they apparently knew each other even prior to this tag team. And as the sun sets, Eggman Land sparks to life off in the distance. You can tell it's Eggman Land because the big ass fucking glowing Eggman mural made out of LED lights. That is an utterly insane way to lay a claim over your city. Since the sun is setting, our heroes are now on short time when it comes to shutting down this unstable generator. And so Sonic, Tails, and their new teammate Knuckles head off to Eggman Land to complete their mission before the whole world explodes. A few minutes worth of flight and super speed later, the trio arrives at Eggman Land. More specifically, Eggman's lab, which is powered by the unstable generator in question. The three of them make their way through a bunch of obstacles and shit before Sonic eventually shuts down the generator, thereby saving the day. But the moment the generator is shut down, this green holographic box emerges from the generator, trapping Sonic inside of it. After holding Sonic in this box for a few seconds, the generator falls apart, freeing Sonic from his holographic prison. But as Sonic and the game look up at where the quote-unquote generator had once stood, they see this black energy-filled orb that seems to be materializing this mysterious figure within it. A plume of smoke flies through the lab, obscuring everyone's vision, and when the smoke finally clears out, Sonic finds himself face to face to what can only be described as a mechanical version of himself. It's Metal Sonic. Now, me personally, I don't play with that clone shit, bro. I would have knocked Metal Sonic ass off this ledge right here and been done with it. That's just me. But Maurice and them, you know, they're anime characters, and so they decide to just stare in awe at the biggest threat to their safety while simultaneously giving their main foe time to arrive on the scene and once again start yapping his ass off about how amazing his master plan was. Basically, to the surprise of literally no one, Eggman was capping about this whole entire situation. Black Eggman, the world-threatening generator malfunction, it was all cap. And beyond just being cap, it was all an elaborate ruse designed to steal Sonic's data so that Eggman could upload it into Metal Sonic, thereby creating the ultimate anti-Sonic weapon. After giving Sonic his villain monologue, Eggman gets some fodder robots to take Sarah hostage once again, while his newly activated ace weapon goes after the original Sonic, the two of them engaging in a one-on-one Mach speed squabble. Knuckles and Tails, on the other hand, are sitting off in the distance like the side characters that they are, watching the two Sonics go at it. Knuckles, he's looking up at the Sonics, and bro hits the typical anime side character. They're moving so fast that I can't even track them. And it's like, all right, bro, Knuckles, I, maybe expect this sort of behavior from Tails. He's like 8. You, on the other hand, I'm gonna need a bit more action coming from you, my boy. Meanwhile, Eggman's on the other side of the lab, flying around in his little space pod. He's got Sarah tied up in the passenger side of the vehicle, and he's just over there hype as hell, bruh. He is so elated to finally have one of his inventions run a fair fade with Sonic the Hedgehog. I ain't never seen his big ass this excited in any of the games, bro. Now, I didn't really know much about Metal Sonic coming into this OVA. I don't think he was in Sonic X, which was like my main exposure to Sonic as a kid, but with that said, dog, Metal Sonic is fucking cracked, bro. Holy shit. As their fight rages on, Metal Sonic actually manages to outspeed Flesh Sonic, and he cracks him in the back like Bane did Batman, causing the OG Sonic to get knocked out and start falling out the sky. Metal then proceeds to grab OG Sonic by the leg and encase both of them in this force field before proceeding to fly out of the lab and into the sky to continue their battle. Tails tries to go after Metal in order to help Sonic out, but Knuckles stops him because, let's keep it a buck right now. If Maurice just got his ass slept by Metal Sonic, what the hell is the boy Tails gonna do? Remember that I said that, because we finna see what the hell the boy Tails gonna do later. Somehow, OG Sonic manages to escape from Metal Sonic's grasp while they're in the sky, and so the two hedgehogs start having this high-speed squabble in midair. They look like DBZ characters or some shit. It's actually pretty insane, but Metal Sonic once again takes the lead, disappearing from Sonic's field of view before reappearing with what may be the goofiest kick I've ever seen in my life. He rotates his whole torso in a loop and sends Sonic flying flying towards the surface of the planet. As Sonic is plummeting away from Metal, the robot's sensors mistakenly tell him that Sonic is dead. And so now that Metal's primary objective of defeating Sonic has supposedly been realized, Metal really doesn't have shit else to do besides wreak havoc upon the rest of the planet. And so he does just that, starting off by going down to the beach where Sonic left Mr. Owl to look over his home. Now, apparently Metal Sonic's spin kick really beat the living dog shit out of Sonic, because the boy Maurice ends up getting a full, healthy 8 hours of sleep before finally waking up the next morning, stranded in the middle of the woods. As Sonic is waking up from his nice, refreshing slumber, Tails and Knuckles arrive back at the home base looking for Sonic, but instead of finding Sonic, they end up finding Mr. Owl, who for some reason is decked out in what's apparently Sonic's favorite fit. Mr. Owl explains that Metal Sonic actually showed up last night and forced him to put on that fit, which is crazy, by the way. How as a grown-ass owl are you going to let yourself get dogged into another man's fit? But after hearing that Metal Sonic had some sort of unexplained attachment to Sonic's favorite fit, Tails begins to theorize that perhaps Metal Sonic has some of OG Sonic's psyche trapped within him, since, you know, Metal Sonic basically had all of Sonic's thoughts and memories used as training data for his model. After coming up with this theory, Tails takes the tracking device that Eggman gave him and he starts to reverse engineer it into like this Metal Sonic tracking / mind reading disruption device. As Tails and Knuckles are prepping their countermeasures to stop Metal Sonic's rampage of terror, Eggman and his hostage Sarah are floating above Planet Freedom in Eggman's little aircraft, and they're like watching the aforementioned rampage of terror go down live. Eggman, out of nowhere, on some freak shit, on some just weird shit, he pulls out this wedding dress and he's like, "Hey Sarah, since we're going to be the last two people alive on this planet anyway, you trying to marry me or what?" Sarah, she imagines this alternate reality of her having to take care of like 20 Eggman babies. She's literally over there like breastfeeding the little Eggman. It's kind of weird. I don't know why they put this in a kid's movie, but she's like, oh hell nah, bruh. She is not fucking with that timeline, bruh. Girl starts grinding her teeth, bruh. As Sarah is being harassed, Sarah's pops, the president of Planet Freedom, is on a Zoom call with Knuckles and Tails. And Knuckles is explaining to the president that at the rate that Metal Sonic is moving at, the entirety of the land of the sky will be destroyed by the end of the day today. The president is like, oh hell nah, we can't let that happen. And Sonic pops up from behind him out of nowhere talking about, yeah, I'm with Unc, bro, we can't let that happen. And it's like, alright Maurice, funny to see you here, bro, like where the hell have you been? But after hearing about Metal Sonic's plans to destroy the North Pole and thus the entire planet, Sonic speeds off, heading up north so that he can once again attempt to save the planet from Metal's wrath. As Metal Sonic is starting his whole planetary destruction process, OG Sonic pulls up on him and he's like, hey Metal, come catch my run back real quick. Metal Sonic pulls up and he's like, say less. He starts talking to Sonic in like these R2-D2 robot chirps. It's actually pretty funny, but after exchanging a few words and chirps, the two Sonics clash once again, blitzing around the Arctic landscape at borderline untrackable speeds. At some point during their squabble, the two hedgehogs crash into Eggman's aircraft. Apparently, Eggman came up north with Sarah to watch the end of the world live, and so yeah, now they're a part of this too. The crash, along with Eggman's stupidity, causes Sarah to fall out of the aircraft, plummeting towards the glacier below them. But luckily for her, the boy Knuckles shows up just in time to save her from ending up as a red splatter on the snow. Cut back to Sonic and Metal Sonic. Metal Sonic somehow got the boy Maurice into a submission hold 30,000 feet in the air, which is crazy, bro. He got that nigga in like a Boston crab, but the boy Tails yo, remember what I said about Tails earlier? Yo, this nigga Tails is crazy, bro. Tails proceeds to kamikaze into Metal Sonic with no hesitation, risking his life so that his brother can escape the submission hold. That is a new level of loyalty right there. Tails, Knuckles, and Sarah all end up together back on the surface, and as they're watching Maurice get his ass whooped by ChatGPT, Tails notices that there's a giant wave of magma heading right for the bridge that they're hiding under. Tails is like, damn, yo Knuckles, I know this sounds crazy, but I'm gonna need you to stop that magma, my boy. And Knuckles, who doesn't want to run headfirst into a sea of molten lava, is hesitant for all of 3 seconds before proceeding to viciously fold over a kiss on the cheek, running headfirst into the magma and puncturing a hole in the glacier so that the magma spills out before it gets to them. Like I said earlier, you see how horny niggas love to go try hard over the littlest shit when a girl is watching, bro? I guarantee you the nigga Knuckles was not finna hop in that lava if it was just Tails there, bro. I'm just saying. As Knuckles is busy saving the the day, Maurice Hedgehog is still over there getting his ass grassed by Metal Sonic. Metal Sonic drop kicks OG Sonic into his homies, which is honestly just insanely disrespectful to everyone involved. But as Metal Sonic is choking the hell out of regular Sonic, Kamikaze Tails goes clutch mode again, and he activates his Metal Sonic jamming device that he invented before coming here. As Metal Sonic is frozen in place from having his data jammed, OG Sonic finally has an opening to attack him, and so he spin dashes Metal Sonic at full speed, the impact sending the android flying off into the distance for what we hope is the deciding blow of the fight. Right as everything is starting to look up for Team Hedgehog, dumbass Mr. President proceeds to pull up to the scrap despite no one having asked for him to come here, by the way. And not only does he pull up to the fight, he does so in the most disruptive, most inconvenient manner possible. He crashes his plane into the glacier that had all the magma in it. And so now, not only is he threatening his own life, he's also threatening the safety of the entire planet that he's supposed to be the president of as well. Sonic and Tails start flying up to the glacier to save Mr. President. But as they're doing so, Metal arrives once again and knocks him off course. His outer shell is currently battered and beaten from Sonic's last spin dash, but even in the busted condition that he's in, Metal Sonic is hating on OG Sonic until the bitter end. You gotta respect it low-key. Tails gets ready to scramble Metal's data once again, but Eggman pulls up from behind him and shoots the watch off of his hand so that Sonic is forced to have yet another fair fade with Metal Sonic. This time around, Maurice finally starts putting in work on the boy Metal, and after getting a few solid blows, he slams Metal Sonic into the president's ship, causing the ship to explode, with the president still in it. Now, at first Sonic is like, oh shit, did I just accidentally assassinate the president? My bad, y'all. But then we get a look at the smoke that's billowing from the remains of the ship, and emerging from this smoke, we see Metal Sonic. He's carrying the president, and Mr. Owl, yeah, apparently Mr. Owl pulled up too. I bet you it was his stupid ass that was piloting the ship in the first place. But come to find out, because Metal Sonic is just a copy paste of Sonic's data, Sonic's benevolence was hidden somewhere within its data as well. And so, yeah, apparently all it took for that benevolence to surface was Tails scrambling his wires, or whatever he did with that watch that he had. Anyway, a big ass piece of rubble hits Metal, which sends him falling into the giant pool of lava that had gathered beneath the glacier. Sonic goes to try to save Metal because I guess over the past few hours he's grown some sort of strange bond with his kinda brain brother machine thingy, but in one last act of pure hatred, Metal Sonic climbs up the side of the lava pool towards OG Sonic, and he slaps that nigga's hand away before sinking himself into his molten grave. Metal Sonic would rather end his own life right here, right now, than live another second as a Maurice the Hedgehog clone. And you know what? I respect it. Anyway, the world is saved, and yeah, everyone gets over Metal Sonic in like 5 seconds flat, so yeah, I'm not gonna lie, that's kind of crazy. But what's even crazier though is the fact that they all kind of just go on to treat Eggman like he didn't just try to destroy the world. Like, why are they all having a good laugh about this situation? Why is my nigga Knuckles the only one who's locked in the way he should be right now? Like, every single person on this screen almost died at least twice over the past 2 days. You'd expect a bit more, I don't know, somberness to be among them right now. Anywho, the last we see of Sonic and friends, they're all running off into the distance. Running off to play Sea of Conquest, a game which you too can play by checking out the link in my description.